Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon to my friends in Europe. I hope everybody's doing well. Happy Synthetic Friday. What is Synthetic Friday? That's what we used to call Thursday when we had Friday off. So when we had Friday off, you would do Red Shirt Thursday on Wednesday, and you would treat Thursday as a Friday, as we all should. Markets are closed tomorrow for in observance of Good Friday. And then we have Easter on Sunday. And then we get right back to it on Monday. So we got a nice 3-day weekend. But I don't know if we'll get a lot of reprieve. Yes. So I don't know if we're going to get a lot of reprieve from news. But, over Easter, maybe this is the one weekend where things aren't ridiculous. All right. So in today's session, all right, and if you're new to Option Pit, let me know. Or if you haven't been around in a while, let me know. I want to hear from you. Today, we are looking at a generally up market, but you got to remember the construction of the Dow Jones. So remember, the Dow is price weighted, and United Healthcare is down $112. Not a good day to be a United Healthcare stockholder. But that's what's really eating at the Dow, right? The Dow's down 1%. So, folks, this is one of my favorite sites. All right, there's this site called Slick Charts. And what I like is that you can look at the weighting of all the components and kind of how they're performing today. And what I use this for is to kind of track how heavily concentrated the market is right now. Doesn't want to go away. So I can look at, let's say, the SPY and look at the components and see how things have changed day over day, week over week, month over month. One thing is clear is that the top names, the Mag 7 names, with this sell-off have seen a reduction in how they affect the market. Still way more than everything else. But Apple and Microsoft are now, call it 12.7%. NVIDIA, you're up to call it 18. Amazon, you're at 21.5. Meta, you're at 24. And with the Alphabet twins, you're up to 28. These had gotten up into the 30s. So the weighting of these top names is coming off some. Notably NVIDIA, and to a lesser extent, Apple and Amazon. And the bottom end has actually seen a little bit of gains. So these weightings change when, the top names underperform the rest of the names, which is what they've been doing. But getting back to the Dow Jones, I just want to explain why I like this site. United Healthcare is down 20%, and United Healthcare is 9% of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Well, let's do some math. What is 9% of 20%? It is 1.8%. So without United Healthcare down 20%, the Dow would be green 2. All right. So now that we've kind of covered that, I want to swing back and relook at the different levers that I'm pulling. and remind you of what we're watching. All right, number one is the Russell 2000 leading. All right, this is good news. So we have back-to-back days of the Russell 2000 leading. Yesterday on that big down day, the Russell 2000 was down the least. And then today, with this rally, the Russell 2000 is up the most. That, friends, is a green shoot. Now, do I need to see it more than 2 days? Yeah, but it is a green shoot. The Russell has a lot of ground to make up relative to the other indexes. So as bad as you think SPY has been, all right, over the last 3 months, you think the SPY has been terrible. It is outperforming the Russell 2000 by a full 6 points. So the Russell has a lot of ground to make up. And if we get on a heater here, it will take off. Next on my levers I am watching is the bond market. Is the bond market stable? So far, yes. If bonds start to roll over, that would be a problem, but they seem to have found stability right around kind of where we were in February. Would like to see it rally a little bit. And then last but not least is the VIX. I noted yesterday, I thought this was interesting, that for how much we moved yesterday, we did not get a big lift in implied volatility or in VIX or anything like that. VIX was mostly up because of the mechanics of how it functions. There was not this crazy demand for options. You can see SPX. You know, we had a pretty nice down day on Thursday, and we did not really even get a big lift. And now VIX is pulling back. I'm watching to see if we hold the rally, how far can they bring VIX down? The low print for VIX over the last few weeks, the low close is, 30.12. So I would like to see VIX get back below 30. And I want to see this term structure flattening up. You can see it's actually wide. It widened out since Tuesday. So yesterday we closed at about 1.2 spread between May and June. So the May future closed 27.45, June 26.22, today 26.95, 25.85. So definitely down. Futures are down, and the curve itself is flattening. I'm going to feel pretty good if at the end of the day, the Russell is leading, bonds stay stable, this curve has flattened up. And what I'm looking for is find a good picture of this. You know, yeah, we definitely had April 3rd. Oof. Yeah, I'm looking for, I'm looking for things to be relatively flat. So something like this. I don't know that the VIX itself, this green line, is going to be below the curve when it flattens up. I don't think it will. But I'm looking for these front two contracts to be flat or even at a deficit, right? 19, 15. That is a positive decay. That is what I'm looking for in this market. And I'd really like to see it close below 30. That's kind of the levers we're watching and paying close attention to. Now, one of the ones, and thank you for bringing this up. What? 1 second here. Gotta reopen Thinkorswim. One of the things I'm watching is VIX 9-day. And VIX 9-day still in the 30s. So it's not like we're sitting there saying, hey, everything's in the clear. But VIX 9-day is below the VIX. That is an indicator Andrew and I both follow that tells us the market is calming down. Momentum on fear is fading. Come on. All right. Robin asks, Mark, SPY is 45 points below the daily 200. Does the new weekly SMA also factor into market sentiment and possible direction? If we break down below that, is that a major line in the sand? I mean, the 200 breaking the 200 weekly would definitely be an issue. For me, I'm watching in SPY couple of levels or SPX, right? SPY is just derivative SPX. So in S&P, we're watching 5250. 5250, that's right here ish. And then below that, I'm kind of, next stop down is back to threatening 5100. So there's definitely some still downside. But again, I think there's some things to start to build on. It could change. And this market is so news driven that it could change quickly. But what you'll notice is that even the news isn't affecting the market as much as it used to. That Nvidia news 8 days ago, we might have gone limit down. The weak need are out. That is what everything I am seeing is telling me. The weak need are out. All right. So a lot of positives that we're looking at. Still, we could trank, but yeah, exactly. Rawhead says we're becoming numb to all. That's exactly what happens. The weak need, people sell. We fall apart, and then people go, now what? Now what? Now, would I be surprised if we rolled over? I would not. But do I think we're going to rally today? Yes, I do. All right. I wanted to visit on a couple of ideas here. We talked about MP yesterday. Had a really nice day. It's holding gains. That is a good thing. Now, post all that action from Wednesday, you might expect it to be down a little bit more or to be off. Here we have the May 30 calls. I still really like these. The May 30 calls for $1.60, I think, are going to pay. We talked about these yesterday. You're actually able to get a better price now. And, it's not a super active day, but I would note that they're buying the May 30 calls. And you got some action on April. So MP Materials, I am still a fan of the May 30 calls. All right, just kind of looking at what that would look like. Really? All right. With a long weekend, the market may not do much today. That is exactly right. Also, we've got Easter, we've got Passover happening, and we're getting close on some other holidays as well. So it might be an inside day. My feeling, though, is the buyers will eventually step in. And again, MP Materials, one more time, the May 30 call, $1.60. The other name we looked at yesterday was NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is threatening to break back below 100. It is definitely giving the market some issues. Other names that are in that Mag 7 that are kind of pulling back a little bit more, Broadcom, Amazon, Google's down. You can see the rest of the market is actually not having a bad day. Tesla's down. There are not a lot of these mag names that are doing well. However, you have strength in financials, in materials, in industrials, not in healthcare because United Healthcare. But this is not a major red day. You just have kind of the top names down again, small. So that's where we're living right now. So I just wanted to circle back with MP. And then NVIDIA. This is where that, I'm kind of watching big money flow. I before the announcement, full disclosure, Delta Strike, I bought calls on the 15th. Why? One, held support. Two, tons and tons and tons and tons of bull flow. And then they pulled the rug out. So when that happens, when you put on a trade and your thesis completely gets thrown out, you kill the trade. So we did that. And now I'm watching to see where the floor might be. NVIDIA back into the 80s. Now you're talking. With this red, I would be watching for the lows from yesterday, 100 spot 45. And then below there, 98.90, and then 90, 95-ish. Think about 95-ish. I'm really interested in owning that. But right here, it looks like it wants to go back below 100. You could argue that a interesting trade would be like puts on Apple, puts on Nvidia, and long the market. Because I'm telling you, Apple, it looks like Apple looks, it's been real hyper strong relative to a lot of these names. And I think that is the loser when money finally flows back into Amazon's and Nvidia's and stuff like that. I think they're going to lose their Apple stock. Yes, today was Rodney says was today sorry. Yeah, oh, William says today is options expiration. Yes. SPX options expired this morning. SPY and QQQ, all those fun names, they expire this afternoon, as do all the April contracts. They're all going to go away this weekend. We're going to get kind of where we opened. I'm not shocked they got it to around 5,300. Okay. So we've now kind of talked about the levers. You know, concentrated on IBM. We reviewed MP Materials and NVIDIA, kind of walk through our entire base case for trading today. And then I want to look at a couple of big money flow cases and kind of go through that. So one of the names that we had seen on big money flow was KeyBank. They had earnings this morning, and a trader had a bull position into it and is closing for flat. Nothing really, you know, sometimes big money flow does get it wrong, like in the case of NVIDIA, but a lot of times it doesn't. So that is one of the names I'm watching. And then I am keeping a tight eye, and I've mentioned this, on these Chinese equities. FXI is up 25 cents this morning. Baba's up $3. Pen Duo is up $1. I am going to be using the rally in Baba today to buy puts. Why? Again, these Chinese equities over the last 3 months, Alibaba is still up 30%, SPY down 12%. Six months, 18. You got an 18-point spread there. Even though year over year, S&P's up 5, Baba's up 59. So I'm going to be using Alibaba to try and get at puts. See, the market just turned red. Again, we're watching the key level here is 52.50. We get a 5-minute candle, back-to-back 5-minute candle closes below there. We are going to roll over. Otherwise, despite where we are, I think that today ends up greener than where the S&P currently is. I think we will close above 5,300, and the Qs will close green on the day as well. Questions for me. What's the VXTH, the tail hedge index? That is a volatility index that tracks how expensive really cheap puts are, Cap. What's the story with FCX? I'm going to take a hard look at that one in Delta Strike. It is on my radar. With the long weekend, do you think we're going to do anything? Like I said, I think we'll meander higher. But it is going to be an inside day. What is an inside day? It is a day where we don't move as much as we recently have been moving. An inside day right now. Is going to be like moving less than 1.5%. Okay. Other questions for me? Okay. So reviewing MP Materials, we like the May 30 calls. NVIDIA, I'm looking to buy around $96, but it looks like it might break 100. I might want to own a 100 put for today. If I can day trade, I might pick up those 100 puts for 83 cents if I can day trade. TQQ, I still think that we're going to get a little pop here later in the day. If we don't, I'm going to just unload my position for those that are following. Inside day is sometimes a plus, yes. And then in Alibaba, I'm looking to buy the May 105 put for $4.50. So lots of actionable ideas, lots of trading. Everybody that's joined the Delta Strike $19 trial, I'm going to see you guys at 2:30. If you didn't sign up, it's too late for that, but we're going to be, the good news is I'm going to be with you every day until the VIX calms down or you guys stop showing up. So as long as you guys keep coming, I will keep delivering. Yeah, I really like that call here, Shane. So I will be buying some of those in addition when I'm done here. All right, folks. If you stick around, this chat room's open all day. You can talk to people. And I am looking forward to seeing you guys on Monday. I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a great morning and a great weekend. And happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter.